morning, race fans, and welcome back to the Metro Ford Cup Series presented by Old Bastards Racing League. Today, we're at the virtual Darlington Raceway, 1.3 miles. We're going to see some heavy hitters make their way out for the first round of playoffs. 16 drivers currently in it to win it. And after, I believe it's 3 rounds, we're going to eliminate 4 of those drivers until we can finally decide the season champion. As always, my name's James East on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Bring the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. As right now, drivers are out on track for single car qualifying. And it looks like not many drivers have decided to go out yet. Patrick Milligan sitting in his pit stall. He's waiting to go out. And the number 18 machine looks like Jason Fellenbaum also waiting to qualify. It looks like Michael Watts, though, the 84 machine, out on track, ripping it around. Now, drivers also running throwback paints this afternoon as well, switching it up a little bit compared to their normal liveries they've ran in the past. And as always, thank you to our viewers on the Twitch and YouTube side of the broadcast. We've got DM Viking joining us, giving us a shout out over on the Twitch side. As always, let us know who your favorite drivers are, who you're cheering on, and where you're from. As drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor. If not, they just about always go back and watch it over again. And really, these shows would not be possible without the viewers from all across the world. So thank you all so much. As Watts clicks off a 30.58, his opening timed lap. Dan Hill, the number 10 Chevrolet, currently in the top spot. He dropped down a 29.7, 1/10 ahead of Steve Thompson, 67 Toyota. Other notable drivers out on track: Dwayne MacArthur, the 83, Tom Ogle, the number 11, starting their qualifying runs. Not seeing too many triple-digit drivers, rookies here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. It looks like just Ed Perry in the 112 Chevrolet. Watts drops a 30.3. That's going to be good enough for a current 8. Let's check in on Greg McDaniel's number 30 machine making his way out for qualifying. Hill still holding on to the top spot with that 29.69. Good enough for a provisional pole. Now we are going to be running 150 laps here today. Scheduled at just under a 2-hour main event. Let's see what McDaniel can do. As McDaniel getting a shout out here as well. He is the current ARCA champion. The Old Bastards Racing League, so somebody definitely keep an eye out on. As McDaniel is opening lap, a 30.19, good enough for 30. Tom Ogle has jumped up to third with his second time lap, a 29.9. And Dan Hill be beat here with that 29.7, blistering fast. Now he still has the likes of Brian Glass out on track, who moves up to 7th. Chris Walsh moving up to 10th. Al Turner trying to put down a good time as well in that 76 machine. Let's see what McDaniel can do on his final timed lap. How far up can he go the standings? Moving up to 6th with a 29.93. Checking in on Brian Glass's 87. Come around out of turn 4 for the final time. He's trying to improve on a 29.98. And is not able to do so with a 30.05. Chris Walsh moves a little bit higher up the standings. Now it looks like that is going to be it for qualifying. So Dan Hill will hold on to the pole position here at Darlington. Qualifying wraps up. Looks like 14 drivers able to put down times here. And a large portion opting to start from the back. Drivers making their way out onto the grid. Let's go ahead and see who's where. Dan Hill starting the number 1 spot. Steve Thompson starts 2nd. Tom Ogle starting 3rd. Dwayne MacArthur starting 4th. Eddie Jones starts 5th. Greg McDaniel starting 6th. Chris Walsh starting 7th. Brian Lynch starting 8th. Brian Glass starting 9th. Don Hinchcliffe starting 10th. Mike Schrader starting 11th. Michael Watt starting 12th, cycling it back to Al Turner starting 13th. Lloyd Moore will be starting 14th. Jason Fellenbaum starting 15th. Ken Huff starts 16th. Ed Perry starting 17th. Bruce Pearson starting 18th. Patrick Milligan starts 19th. Dakota Pischke starting 20th. You've got Brian Lindsay starting 21st. Lee Warsdale starting 22nd. Alan Wanamaker starting 23rd. Dean Gear starting 24th. And Bert Dodson will start 25th to round out the grid here tonight at Darlington. Let's get ready to party here as we wait on Dwayne MacArthur, Jason Fellenbaum, Bruce Pearson to make their way out onto the grid. And again, thank you to our title sponsor, eMetroFord.com. If you're looking for a new or used Ford vehicle at MSRP pricing, check them out, eMetroFord.com. Tell them James with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting sent you. Also, big shout out to KimBowl.net coming on board this season as a sponsor, as well as Dr. Amy, the Thyroid Fixer. And we can't forget Victor Lane Sports also coming on board this season as well. So great to have so many supporting sponsors and helping keeping the show on the road as we roll out behind our iRacing safety car. Grandpa Dakota Pischke getting some love from the fans here as well. He'll be starting about the 18th spot in that number one. Now, Bruce Pearson must have had some difficulties not able to make it out onto the grid. Let's see if he can get that thing fired back up and get back out there. Pace car is in. Let's get ready to fire things up for 150 laps, our first round of playoffs. And away they go with Hill and Thompson on the front row, two Titans here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Already I thought I heard some contact with our good friend the outside wall. But Hill, Thompson, MacArthur, a bit of a breakaway. MacArthur up one spot ahead of Tom Ogle's number 11 machine. Now it's going to be interesting for me as a broadcaster to see what paint schemes are in effect. Of course, Tom Ogle in a vintage White Claw painted Ford Mustang. It almost looks like a Miller Highlight paint scheme retrofitted to White Claw. We'll see if we can get another close view on that one. Old Tom Ogle staying true to form here as he's closing the gap to Dwayne MacArthur in third. Steve Thompson in second. Has a lot of company from the Fast Canadian as Hill gets a bit of a breakaway out front. Darlington, one of those tracks that looks deceptively wide, but the racing line only about 1.5 car lengths really wide when you're out there driving. Turn one's got a pretty spectacular bump in it if you try and apex a little bit early. But what you're going to see here is drivers way up high as the run progresses and the tires start to fall off. It takes a lot more work to keep that car from hitting the wall. Hill still charged along out front. The field fairly bunched up here. Everybody single file. I've called a few races here this week, and it seems very tough to make any sort of moves, especially two wide action. Pretty rare here at Darlington. Brian Glass looking for a way around Brian Lynch's number 9 machine. The entire field dropping almost identical lap times. And after talking to some of the drivers coming into tonight's show, they let us know that after a while, the rear end on these next-gen Cup cars gets mighty loose and difficult to hold on to. As the field breaking into distinct packs, you're watching Brian Glass in 9th at the end of that train. Going back to Jason Fellenbaum, he's 14. He's got a slew of drivers behind him as well, tucked in. There's Lloyd Moore, Ed Perry, Ken Huff. Patrick Milligan, the number 18 machine, aptly running 18. Bruce Pearson has not been able to get back out on track yet, so not sure what happened to him, what sort of technical difficulties he may be having. Maybe a bit of hardware issues. As we check back in on Dan Hill, Steve Thompson, Dwayne MacArthur, your top three. Ogle and McDaniel round out the top five here, 7 laps in. Lap time staying pretty consistent. Hill last time by a 30.8, 100th of a second off his fastest lap so far of the night. Thompson trying to do whatever he can to break away from MacArthur. But Thompson in a good spot, even though he's 6/10 back from Hill, keeping a fair amount of clean air on the front of that Toyota Camry. While behind MacArthur is a lot of heavy hitters. There's Ogle, McDaniel, Jones, Walsh, Lynch, Glass, Hinchcliffe. Top 12 all bunched up nice and neat together. But I feel like once the tires start to fall off, that's where you're going to see drivers start to make those little mistakes, start to tag that outside lawn. With how compacted and tight the field is here, any mistake that you make, hitting speeds in excess of 175 miles an hour, and very rapidly multiplies. The field has really nowhere to go here. Now, hard charger so far this evening is going to be Ed Perry in the 112, a newcomer. The Metro Ford Cup Series, rocking the Napa backed 112 machine. He's up 3 positions gained so far. And tucked in right behind Al Turner, the 76 Ford Mustang. So if you're new here to the Metro Ford Cup Series, first of all, welcome. And a fun tidbit, the triple-digit drivers, newcomers to this series, unable to qualify, and will earn their double digits, their proverbial stripes, after completing so many rounds without incident. Going to be interesting to see if Perry tries to make a lunge on Turner. Looked like he was taking a peek to the inside line, backed out of it, as he has pulled about an 8/10 advantage over Lloyd Moore in 15th. Hill, quite a breakaway, gaining almost 3/4 of a second over Steve Thompson in second. And of course, Thompson still has that gaggle right behind him. The entirety of the field, for the most part, tucked in single file, 13 laps in. Looked like Ogle was taking a peek there, the inside line of MacArthur. Not able to do anything with it. Ogle knows if he makes that move and isn't able to capitalize, somebody like Greg McDaniel or Eddie Jones will be right there to try and make something happen. Got something going on though to Ed Perry in the 112. Had some sort of problems as the field flies around him. There's Patrick Milligan making a move, so Perry now down 2 spots. That's going to put Ryan Lindsay as our hard charger. Lindsay now up 4 spots, right around in the 17th position, about 1.2 seconds back from Ken Huff. As Barney, our flagman, watching on from overhead in the flag station. And I think we've got something shaping up here. Here comes Tom Ogle along the inside line of MacArthur. In the battle for third, Ogle will sneak on through, going low-high. MacArthur not able to answer back immediately. And MacArthur will fall back to fourth in that 83 machine. Ogle retakes the third place that he qualified in. Right now, our top 4 drivers are running exactly where they qualified. Ryan Glass picking up a spot from Brian Lynch. But this is the point of the run where tires are going to start to fall off. Drivers are going to have little mistakes. As I say that, Lloyd Moore going for the ride of his life in that 26 machine. Chases it down the track. Able to hold on to an excellent save out of the 26. But he's going to lose a spot to Jason Fellenbaum and Ken Huff after holding on for absolute dear life. Brian Lindsay going to try and take a spot away, and let's go a little bit further ahead. We've got more side by side. That's that's going to be Al Turner and Mike Schrader battling for 12th. Turner up against the wall, able to carry a little bit more speed. Schrader's going to try once more to the inside. Not able to get it. So 18 laps in, we're starting to see a little bit more action. It's now Hinchcliffe putting the pressure on Brian Lynch. As the field fighting hard now. Hinchcliffe still looking for a way around that number 9 machine, but just can't get it. He's going to throw it in deep up the inside line down there in no man's land, side by side with the 9 of Lynch. Hinchcliffe may be able to pull it off here. Now Michael Watts in the 84 machine going to try and make his way a little bit higher in the standings as well. Looks like Watts is going to make it happen, so Lynch is going to lose 2 spots there to Hinchcliffe as well as Watts. And the field keeps rocking and rolling forward here. Very impressed seeing the drivers very carefully making passes. As we check back in up front, Dan Hill still holding about a half-second advantage over Thompson and Ogle. Ogle right on the back bumper of that 67 of Thompson. Oh, it looked like Ogle may have had a little bit of a bobble there. Not sure if he caught the wall or not, but he's going to fall 3/10 back from Thompson. Right behind him, you can see MacArthur and McDaniel starting to link up, as well as Jones and Walsh, 6th and 7th. Al Turner has company from Mike Schrader's number 4 machine. Ford versus Ford in the battle for 12th. Schrader with a big run, nothing to do with it though. I think Lloyd Moore having more issues. He's fallen back to now 21st. Milligan, Pischke, Gear, all picking up positions from that 26. That was the driver we saw get wildly losing the start-finish line and narrowly avoid crashing. He had a spectacular save. So far, definitely the save of the race. But 23 laps in, lap time starting to fall off. Almost a second off the pace of what they were able to do earlier. And now it looks like the top 5 starting to bunch up a little bit more. Greg McDaniel on screen, that number 30, the only driver in the top 5 has any forward or backward positions. He's up 1 spot after qualifying in 6th. Still holding on to a top 5. Daniel closing the gap down to MacArthur to 0.2 of a second. Looks like Mike Schrader's number 4 machine is going to force himself down pit road. A little further back in the field, Michael Watts picks up another spot, this time from John Hinchcliffe. Mike Schrader hitting his pit stall in the number 4. The field kind of going back and forth here as far as split differences. Drivers will get within about 0.2 of each other, and then the gap opens back up. Just so tough to make any moves here. As a good example of that is Thompson and Ogle running second and third. Ogle will close that gap to about 1/10 of a second behind the black and yellow 67 of Thompson, but just nowhere to go with it, not able to press the issue and move or make any forward momentum. Breathing down the neck in that White Claw, the vintage White Claw back number 11 Ford Mustang. Keeping Thompson honest, but not able to get just enough drive on the straights to throw a wheel up the inside line. And all of these guys inside the top 5, really the top 10, are absolute experts on tire and fuel management. And we got a report that Mike Schrader has retired from this event 23 laps in. But unfortunately, that number 4 Mustang will not be coming back out on track. Must have had something go terribly wrong. Lee Warsdale also coming down pit road, the number 99 machine, very early on. And all across the track, still great battles. We go back to 16th, Patrick Milligan. He has Ken Huff, Dakota Pischke right behind him. Milligan's up 3 spots, Pischke up 2. As Lee Warsdale hits his pit stall, looks like Pischke. Oh, we've got something going on behind. Trying to see who that was. It's going to be Lloyd Moore. And the 26 going for a wild ride, and that's going to be our first caution of the night. Let's take a look and see what happened to Moore there. Back that one up, because that was a crash in progress. I wonder if it's the exact same thing we saw earlier. But he was getting loose out of 4. Yeah, look at that. He's going to tag the wall on the outside line. Already loose, tagging it. Gets loose, he swaps. Oh my goodness. That was Dean Gear in the KFC Max car, able to stay out of danger. What a save for Dean Gear. Watch that one once more from Gear's point of view. On board with Dean Gear. How much closer can you get, ladies and gentlemen? Now, we've also had problems under caution. It showed Ed Perry and I believe Al Turner involved in an incident. Let's see what may have transpired there. Perry in the 112. Turner in the 76. Oh. Well, that's not good. Looks like Perry may have edged into Turner and spun around the friendly Canadian, the 76 machine. Now, everybody's down pit road except for Brian Lindsay in the number 24 machine. He's trying something different here. Interesting, Lindsay coming down pit road a lap later than everybody else. I believe that's going to put Dan Hill back in the top spot. And we've had a few drivers with extended stays on pit road. Ken Huff, Alan Wanamaker, Ed Perry, Fellenbaum, Moore, Warsdale. As all the fans in agreement saying, what a save by Dean Gear. As we get ready to re-rack them once more, it's going to be Hill and Ogle on the front spot. Ogle was about 0.6 faster on pit road. That's given him a position ahead of Steve Thompson, who will fall back to third. So first caution, 30 laps in. As we get ready to stack the field up double file, drivers already shifting into position here. Now I believe this is going to put Dean Gear and Bert Dodson as our current hard chargers in this restart. Both drivers up 11 positions as it stands. As everybody has returned back out on track except for Lloyd Moore in the 26 machine. He's going to be still fixing some damage here. Pace car is in. And the green flag is out once more. Oh, let's go racing. Now Ogle's going to be up one spot. Let's see if he's going to try and hang with Dan Hill, who's been very fast in the opening 30 laps. Consistently a half second ahead of the rest of the field. Now, before tonight's broadcast, we heard from several racers that they were possibly able to stretch it 75 laps on a tank of gas, so that one-stop strategy now out the window for a large portion. Looking like everybody's going to be on a two-stop here to make it to the end, depending on how cautions go, but it's not unusual to have a fair amount of single-car incidents late into a run. We made it 30 laps before our first caution, where drivers were really fighting the tires in the car, and it looks like MacArthur wants to take a peek to the inside line of Ogle. Ogle up against the wall, carrying a little bit more corner speed. MacArthur will have to take another lap and a half to build up that momentum to try once more against the 11 of Ogle. Steve Thompson sitting in fourth, watching the fray. Eddie Jones in fifth. Drivers know they only have so many laps, so many fresh tires underneath them to make those big lunges. So expect any large shots to be fired early on in the run. As here comes MacArthur once more up the inside line of Ogle. Almost like he's going to make it a 2-for-1 there to put the pressure on Hill. Hill holds on to the race lead. MacArthur now up 2 positions. Ogle still runs third where he started. Thompson in fourth, down 2 spots. And there's Eddie Jones, the wily veteran in the number 14 machine. He's running fifth with Greg McDaniel right behind in the number 30 machine. Also seeing Michael Watts, the 84 in the fray. Hard charger out on track still. Dean Gear narrowly avoided going back home with a virtual hauler. That's a tight 3-car pack. That's Watts, Glass, Hinchcliffe, as well as Chris Walsh in the 63 machine holding on to a top 10. Now we only have 16 drivers in the Chase playoffs. That's Dwayne MacArthur, Steve Thompson, Tom Ogle, Eddie Jones, Michael Watts, Dan Hill, John Hinchcliffe, Greg McDaniel, Brian Lynch, Dakota Pischke, Dean Gear, Robert Garisco, Ken Huff, Brian Lindsay, Lloyd Moore, and Lee Warsdell. All in the Chase playoff at this point. Now, fortunately, Robert Garisco not able to get out on track here tonight. He's going to have an uphill battle as now Dwayne MacArthur, speaking of battling, challenges for the lead for the first time tonight, taking it away from Dan Hill, who's been the dominant driver. That's going to put the 83 machine up 3 spots from where he originally qualified. And now he's got clean air on the front of that Chevrolet, and he's going to try and make something happen, see if he can check out a little bit. And behind them, Steve Thompson putting a move on Dan Hill. Thompson moved back up to 3rd. Hill falls back to 4th. As MacArthur has checked out up front, pulling a 1.2 second gap over Tom Ogle in 2nd. Thompson now kind of in no man's land as Ogle's trying to close the gap to Dwayne MacArthur, your race leader. Top 4, top 5, way more spread out than we've seen so far tonight. Ogle, MacArthur, a 6/10 breakaway from Steve Thompson. Thompson holds about 3/4 of a second on Hill. Hill holds 8/10 on Eddie Jones, who makes up the top 5. Now a little bit further back in the field, things are still bunched up and exciting as we check in on Michael Watts in the 84 machine. That's John Hinchcliffe, Brian Glass right behind him. As Patrick Milligan had some sort of issue as Ken Huff, Al Turner moved their way up to 14th and 15th ahead of the driver, that number 18 E-Metro Ford machine. Hinchcliffe right on the back bumper of Michael Watts. As it looks like Brian Glass doing the exact same to Hinchcliffe, so the field's starting to bunch up a little bit. And it looks like Watts starting to close the door to Greg McDaniel's number 30 machine. McDaniel running 6th out on track. And let's see, can Brian Glass and the very sharp 87 Chevrolet make something happen here? The field starting to bunch back up once more. You've got two distinct packs. Dwayne MacArthur, who has company from Tom Ogle. Ogle looking to the inside line. So Ogle will take back over the race lead. That number 11 White Claw machine proudly out front. This has allowed Steve Thompson to close the gap in third as well. It's going to be interesting to see what the fuel window it is going to be. I'd expect it's going to open up around the lap 90 mark and close at around the lap 105 at the absolute latest, depending on what drivers can do, working the draft and trying to fuel save just a little bit. Guys were able to do 75 laps in practice. Talking to some other drivers, they're only do about 65, 67 laps on fuel, so it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up. MacArthur and Ogle still leads up nose to tail. Steve Thompson has Dan Hill tucked in right behind him, that number 10 machine. We know Hill has the pace qualifying in the top spot, but the long run speed is going to be very important to see what's going to happen. Now 22 laps into the run, this is where drivers are going to start to tighten up and start to make a little bit of mistakes. And if we go back to that second pack led by Eddie Jones, that's got McDaniel, Watts, Class, Hinchcliffe, Walsh, all inside the top 10. Now, we did get a report that Lloyd Moore was able to return to the racing surface. We're still going to have 23 on the lead lap, but look at this. Here comes Greg McDaniel looking to the inside line of Jones. Watts looks like he wants to follow suit, gets a little bit loose coming out of 4. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum there to Jones, trying to work the side draft. Jones will hold on to 6th place after losing the top 5 to Greg McDaniel, who quickly pulls a 6/10 gap. And great racing all across the track here. Let's see, Watt seems like he's got some forward momentum. He wants to carry in that 84. He's up 5 spots. Ingear still our hard charger though, up 12 positions. Looks like the run from Watts will stall ever so slightly against Jones. Now Brian Glass going to try and carry some more momentum. He's accompanied by John Hinchcliffe, who runs 9. Glass always has one of the sharpest looking cars out there. Battle for 7th still heating up. They're 27 laps into this run after that lap 30 pit stop. We saw everybody down pit road under our first caution so far of the evening. Looks like Glass, though, a bit of a shimmy. He's going to lose some positions here. Not too bad, just losing one spot to Hinchcliffe. As we check back in on front runner, Tom Ogle, the number 11 machine. Leading Dwayne MacArthur, Steve Thompson in the top 3. Dan Hill, Greg McDaniel, your top 5. That's very interesting. It seems like drivers have a tough go making lunges even when they get within a tenth of a second. Here's a good example. Michael Watts was within 1/10 of Eddie Jones and then falls off the pace ever so slightly. Oh, here comes Watts looking up the inside line. Will Jones carry a little bit more momentum? No, it's going to be Watts taking over the 6th place spot, still slowly moving up. Watts will continue that run up towards the front as the top 3 have bunched back up together. Really the top 4 of Ogle, MacArthur, Thompson, and Hill. Separated by about a half second, our top 4 drivers, as it looks like here comes MacArthur to battle for the lead once more. So MacArthur taking over the top spot once more. He's one of those drivers that doesn't think he can go 75 laps. But I think he's looking good here. Gonna be close. He really needs to click off over 60 laps on this fuel run to just have one more scheduled stop in the race, but it's always gonna depend on cautions as well. As I say that, John Hinchcliffe going for a wild ride and not going to be able to save it. Hinchcliffe goes around. No caution as of yet, as he's technically off the racing surface and not wanting to get run over by his competitors. Hinchcliffe gets it fired up, but that's that same move we've seen in the past. We're just losing the back end. Hinchcliffe tries to keep it off the wall, chases it all across the track. Looked like he had it saved, and unfortunately just edges it into the inside wall. But Hinchcliffe either lucky or cursed, no caution on that one. As now your race leader Dwayne MacArthur, accompanied by Ogle, Thompson, Hill, are going to start facing traffic for the first time here this evening. Hal MacArthur will be the first driver of the evening to have to navigate traffic. I think that may be Lloyd Moore in the 26 machine just ahead. No, that's going to be Bert Dodson in the 59. Dodson goes down low to allow the race leaders by as easy as he possibly can. So far, looks like everybody get through nice and easy. Still staying relatively bunched up. The gap has spread the top four to 1.25 of a second between MacArthur in front, Hill in fourth. Still have 20 drivers on the lead lap. So it looks like Ogle has a little bit better run there, trying to close the gap to MacArthur. So far, despite the one caution and a couple close calls, it's been a very clean race amongst these drivers. But we've been 40 laps on these tires. This is the longest run we've seen so far of the evening. And still great racing going on across the track. That's Ed Perry, Brian Lynch. Perry making it 8 spots gained in the 112. The rookie clicking off laps, making it look easy. Our Charger still remains. Dean Gear, he's up 11 spots in the 13th position. And Glass makes a move on Lynch's number 9 machine. Here comes Ken Huff in the 46 machine, trying to follow some of the other drivers up towards the front. But we've got problems out on track for Dakota Pischke, taking a tow back to pit road. Something happened to the number 1 machine. Looked like there was a driver glued up in the wall. Pischke tried to check up and gets a little bit of help there. Not sure who that was from. Let's take another look at it and see if we can get a little bit closer angle. But Pischke definitely got a little bit of help there from behind. There's a driver in the wall. Pischke tries to woe it up, gets off the gas, but unsettles the car very drastically. And just gets drilled. Al Turner also having a caution, or bringing out a caution. Let's see what happened to Turner. That's going to be our second caution of the night. The 76 machine involved in that. I wonder if that was Turner that got stuck in the wall. No. The exact same thing. And just trying to chase it and not having any luck. Turner also taking a tow back to pit road. That's going to be our second caution of the night. A 43-lap run since our last caution. So these single car incidents start to pile up here at Darlington as the fans heartbroken for Dakota Pischke, Grandpa Pischke as he's so lovingly called. And we're going to bring the field back down pit road. Who's going to be rolling out on pit road first? It's going to be Dwayne MacArthur in the top spot. Ogle will be second. Thompson, Hill, and McDaniel will round out the top 5. We wait to get a count of who's still going to be on the lead lap after this pit cycle continues after our second caution of the night. Now, in theory, we think some drivers may be able to go to the end here on fuel. It's going to be close. So it's looking like it's going to be 19 drivers on the lead lap, if I'm looking at that correctly. In the field, stacked back up. Not sure who that is down the inside line. Maybe a driver trying to come down pit road. Not entirely sure what that is. As we are gridded up too wide and very, very deep. It's MacArthur and Ogle on the front row, two longtime rivals. Thompson and Hill make up the second row. And we are green flag racing once more. Looks like Patrick Milligan has been forced to retire the number 18 machine. Something has happened to him. So we are green flag racing once more. And MacArthur holding on to the race lead as Ogle, Hill, Thompson, McDaniel. That's 5 Titans in the top 5 right now, including MacArthur. All looking to make it happen early on in the run. They have those fresh tires underneath them, and here comes Ogle. Just as we say that, a big lunge crossing the start-finish line going into 1. Ogle will take back over the race lead. Shuffling MacArthur back to second. We are past the halfway mark of today's main event. And we still have 18 of the 24 drivers that started this race on the lead lap. Looks like 22, I believe, still out there rocking and rolling. Cycling a little bit further back to 7th place, Chris Walsh. He squeezed in between Michael Watts, Brian Glass. A little bit further back, looks like Jason Fellenbaum and Brian Lindsay having a pretty fierce battle as well. Great racing all across the track as we've got more side-by-side action. That's going to be Brian Glass, Chris Walsh battling for 7th. Walsh trying to make it happen. 63 machine, but tags the outside wall in the Jim Beamback Chevrolet. That's going to allow Brian Glass, Brian Lynch, and Dean Gear, it looks like the 92 machine, to pick up some free positions. As Walsh tries to get the momentum built back up, Gear and the KFC back Chevrolet up 15 spots gained so far tonight. As look at this, Gear all over the back bumper of Brian Lynch, trying to make it 16 spots gained. He is absolutely going for it here. Now Steve Thompson has moved up to put in position, getting around Dan Hill's number 10 machine. And Walsh. We've seen a few single car mistakes so far. And very impressed with how great the racing has been all the way around. Let's check back in on Steve Thompson. He's about 3/10 back and closing to Dwayne MacArthur as Hill stays tucked in right behind that 67. Greg McDaniel in 5th, not out of the fight yet. He's 3/10 back from this lead pack. And really everybody inside the top 16 still bunched up relatively tight here. Everybody, for the most part, running single file, looking for some different ways through. More side-by-side action. That was John Hinchcliffe and Dean Gear. Only 12 laps on these set of tires, so they've got some run to do. And some more time to make it happen. And this, you're currently looking just inside the battle for the top 10, or outside the battle for top 10. Dean Gear trying to muscle his way back around Hinchcliffe. But Hinchcliffe making a move on Chris Walsh's 63 machine. Walsh tags the outside wall once more. A little bit of Darlington race stripes in play. That's going to allow Dean Gear to pick up a spot again back inside the top 10. Up front, things seem a little bit calm for now. If you go check in on Greg McDaniel, he's squeezed in between Michael Watts, Brian Glass, running 6th out on track. I'm not sure what's gotten into Dean Gear's 92 machine tonight, but he is absolutely making moves, up 15 positions gained so far. But this is going to be the point of the run where drivers start to make those mistakes, those bobbles. We've seen drivers such as Walsh tagging that outside wall several times already throughout this run. And that is only going to get worse as the tires start to fall off. Now Tom Ogle still holding about a 3/10 advantage over MacArthur out front. Drivers really having to pick and choose their spots here. What a great shot showing these top 17 drivers all single file. 18 drivers still on the lead lap. Ogle still has clean air and clean track ahead of him here. And look at the gap he's built up to McCarthy. That's a half-second advantage over the 83 machine. And there is a ton of fast guys right behind MacArthur. It's going to be interesting, very interesting to see how the fuel run's going to play out. The most we've heard was drivers able to do 75 laps on a tank of gas. I'm always interested to see if maybe there's a dark horse out on track doing a little bit of fuel saving now to hit those numbers and make it till the end. Glass taking a peek up the inside line against McDaniel. Nowhere to go. Right behind them, Dean Gear on the back bumper of Lynch. Backs out of it slightly. But with the tire fall off, these guys are really picking and choosing where they're going to try and make something happen at. Less than 60 laps left to go in this main event. So it looks like McDaniel taking a peek to the inside line of Watts in the 84 machine. Watts up 7 spots so far tonight. Other notable hard chargers, Alan Wanamaker, he's up 7 spots. Bert Dodson up 7 positions. Of course, we've been talking about him all night long. Dean Gear, the number 15, assuming the 92 machine, up 15 positions gained. Darlington being kind to some drivers and not so much for the others. Field's still very bunched up here as we focus in on Greg McDaniel's Kimball.net number 30 machine, tucked in right behind Watts in the Lowe's backed Ford. But don't forget about Brian Glass in that 87 machine. Looking for any mistake out of the drivers ahead of him that he can capitalize as they make their way out onto the start-finish line. Still hitting speeds in excess of 170 miles an hour. Further back in the field, John Hinchcliffe, Jason Fellenbaum, running 10 and 11, recorded a trap speed of 180 miles an hour that last time by. Using the draft train ahead of them to their absolute full potential. A very tight battle going on here as well, just outside the top 10. Oh, what's that ahead? That looked like Greg McDaniel getting passed by Brian Glass in the 87 machine. McDaniel was way up against the wall there as drivers behind trying to look for an opening. Here comes Gear once more. He's got the 63 machine of Walsh making a move up the inside line. Gear all the way against the wall, nowhere else to go. Is he going to try a high-low move? Looks like he either snaps loose there out of 4. I believe that's exactly what that was out of Gear. Losing the spot to Chris Walsh. And no mistakes can be made here with these drivers very tightly wound together. Saw somebody else snaking around. That was Wanamaker's 23 machine up into the wall. And I see some smoke coming out as they crash ahead. The caution's going to come out. That's Brian Lynch down on the racing surface. Really, no caution being called there. I'm not quite sure how. Let's take a look at that one. Oh, it looks like let's back that up. I'm not sure if Gear just straight got into him, or did Lynch have some sort of bobble? Let's watch this once more in slow motion. We're focused on the number 9 machine. We saw the, I think it was Wanamaker towards the back end a little bit loose where we panned the camera angle to. But let's see what happened here. It's the 63 machine going to the inside line. That's Chris Walsh making a move on Brian Lynch. Then Lynch gets a little bit of help from behind with the likes of Dean Gear just edging the quarter panel. And unfortunately, Lynch backs back off Gear. That's the 1-1-2, the rookie of Ed Perry, getting tied up in that one as well. But no caution coming out on that one. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Gear serves a self-imposed penalty here. These drivers very consistent, very respectful of each other. Everybody doing their best to race clean, and that has given Ogle a 1-second breakaway over the rest of the field. With less than 50 laps left to go here. So Ogle looking to be in a good spot, a massive breakaway. If we pan back to MacArthur, he's got Thompson, Hill, Watts, Glass, McDaniel, Walsh, all in the fray. Wanamaker coming down pit road for a stop in the number 23 machine. The field will make their way around, putting him a lap down. Hinchcliffe has made a move on Dean Gear. As it looks like the commentator's curse has reared its ugly head once more. The laps rapidly clicking off. Thompson closing the 2/10 advantage that MacArthur has. Ogle dealing with a little bit of lap traffic up front. But Ogle has pulled 1.3 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack and no sign of slowing down. Now MacArthur's going to have to cut through the field as well. I believe that's going to be Bert Dodson's number 59 machine who will yield the race line. Yes, it is. Well done to him. Hopping off the groove, dropping down low. Update drivers that have retired for the evening. It looks like Alan Wanamaker back in the virtual hauler. Ed Perry has retired. Patrick Milligan, Al Turner, Mike Schrader also DNFs. Bruce Pearson with a DNS. They did not start here this evening. As Gear starting to fall back, Canyon Jason Fellabom in the number 57 machine takes over the 10th place spot. He's now up 5 positions. Ken Huff closing the gap to Gear. I wonder if that 92 machine has a little bit of damage on it. As Huff rocking and rolling in that 46. The Superflow back to Chevrolet. Here comes Huff, able to make the position gain. And what a massive front pack it still is. Now Ogle checking out 1.7 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. But this is second through about 9th place on screen right now. As Chris Walsh staying tucked in right behind Michael Watts in the 84. We are 35 laps into this run. Drivers are going to have their machines starting to tighten up on them, making it a little bit more difficult to facilitate those passes. is going to do here, trying to close the gap a little bit ahead. Looks like Thompson has company from the number 10 machine of Dan Hill. There's Wayne MacArthur 4/10 ahead of Thompson, as Ogle has almost stretched his lead to 2 seconds on the rest of the field here. Oh, who was that? It's Dan Hill. Drilling the inside wall. Oh, the front left is completely off that machine. We've got to take a look at that one. Is that another case of just tagging the outside wall? It sure looks like it's going to be. Trying to chase the car, but just smashes the inside wall. And unfortunately, Hill will join the list of drivers taking a tow back to pit road and having to retire. Heartbreaking for the number 10 machine. He was so incredibly fast and incredibly consistent here tonight. But it has been an evening of single car incidents and narrowly avoided cautions. You'll hate to see it for that number 10 machine, Dan Hill. And very odd, the lack of cautions. I believe every caution thrown here is from the built-in iRacing stewards. And with how wide things are here at Darlington, those crashes will be considered off the racing surface, despite it all being asphalt from wall to wall. Field starting to stretch out slightly. Looks like Ogle maybe backing off the pace here his last time by, a 32 flat, 1.4 seconds off his fastest lap of the race. Still holding about a 1.7 second advantage to MacArthur. MacArthur has Thompson, Watts, Walsh tucked in right behind him. The top 5 stands Ogle pretty stacked together here. We pan back to Chris Walsh, sitting well in 5th. He's up 2 spots gained so far. Walsh holding on to that 5th place position, tucked in behind some Titans. He's got about a 1.2 second advantage over Greg McDaniel in 6th. Well, let's go back to Ken Huff in the 46 machine. There's a good 3-car battle going on for the top 10. Here comes Brian Lindsay's number 24 machine, making it work around the outside line. Eddie Jones going to try and follow suit as well. Jones up high against the wall. Huff running a more conservative middle line here. But all the drivers really struggling with snap-loose conditions out of 2 and especially out of 4, as we've obviously seen several drivers getting collected and going home early. Jones has moved up to 11th. Lindsay trying to check out in 10th. Now everybody on the lead lap here all came in on lap 73 together under caution. So it's going to be very interesting if anybody can stretch it out. As I say that, Tom Ogle is going to be the first driver down pit road in the number 11 machine. After holding a massive lead over the rest of the field, Ogle obviously didn't feel like he could make it till the end. He's going to want to put himself in the best conditions possible as far as tire and fuel. As MacArthur, Thompson, Watts, Walsh, McDaniel, you're now top 5. We're going to pull up live time and score on the left side of your screen so you can see where your favorite driver is. MacArthur stretching the run out a little bit longer. Ogle returns back out on track a lap down. He shows 14th. A big gamble by the number 11, but always unafraid to try something different on strategies. We've got 30 laps left to go. Interesting to see how this is going to work. Looks like Eddie Jones makes his pass on Brian Lindsay. Lindsay up high, Jones trying the low line. Lindsay looks like he's going to be close to a hard charger, up 11 spots. Dean Gear still up 12 positions gained in the 92. But now the big question is we get very, very close to the end of this main event. How is pit strategy going to plan things out here? Your top four very bunched up together still. Or are we going to have a late race caution throw a wrench into the plans of Tom Ogle? MacArthur's last time by a 32.43. Ogle clicked off a 30.86 his last time by. I think if we can go green, and what a massive if that is, I think Ogle's going to be in a very good position here. When are we going to see MacArthur and friends finally come down pit road for that final planned stop tonight? We don't think they can make it till the end on fuel. Comes down pit road for his final planned stop of the night in the 26 machine. 25 laps left to go as we get ready for MacArthur. Yes, there he goes crossing the line. I think MacArthur and just about everybody else at this point is banking on a late race caution, and that may be a safe bet late into the run. We've seen it happen several times here. Ryan Glass putting the pressure on Greg McDaniel in the battle for the top five. There's Tom Ogle blitzing through the field on the White Claw back number 11, putting those fresh tires to use. Ogle has 4 drivers ahead of him, still on the lead lap, and he is much, much faster, over 1 second a lap faster. And we know Ogle's not going to have to back off. It looked like that was him at the tail end of the line, right behind Chris Walsh, I believe. Let's see, there's Ogle. Getting ready to earn his laps back the old-fashioned way. Raw talent and pace. The top 4 may be a little bit worried here, realizing if Ogle is unlapping himself just on pace, they are in big, big trouble if they cannot make it till the end. Without having to come down pit road, and I think that's what they've got to be trying, as here comes Ogle. He just has MacArthur and Thompson ahead of him on the lead lap, or as he unlaps himself, makes his way around Thompson. And what's MacArthur gonna do here? It's 22 laps left to go. And Ogle has fully unlapped himself, putting himself back onto the lead lap. Now he's still only 14th out on track. So he's banking heavily that the 13 drivers in front of him will have to come down pit road at least once more. I'm trying to do some math here. I think if all things stayed the same, Ogle can lap himself up to 10th just on pace, the top 10, if he keeps rocking and rolling, if we go green, and if nobody else comes down pit road. Dakota Pischke coming down pit road, leaving the pits for his final stop of the night. MacArthur, Thompson, Watts, Walsh, and McDaniel, your top 5. Ogle has made his way back up into 13th, getting around Brian Lynch. Lynch still on a lap 73 pit strategy. So I think the drivers who have stayed out since lap 73 or so are going to be banking very, very hard on having to make it on fuel or a late race caution to save their strategy here tonight. This is going to be interesting. Are we going to see anybody inside this top 4 try and make any lunges, or are they all in fuel-saving mode? As Ogle has just clicked off a 30.5 second lap time. His fastest lap so far of the evening. The White Claw machine is ripping it around here at Darlington. He's about 25 seconds back from your race leader, Dwayne MacArthur. And this is very quickly becoming a strategy race and a race of big gambles from several drivers. After talking to the drivers, at best, MacArthur, who wasn't comfortable with too much fuel saving, is going to be showing about 2 laps short here. MacArthur's last time by a 32.26. Ogle with a 30.91. So Ogle starting to slow down ever so slightly as the tire wear plays a factor. And I would not at all be surprised for a late race caution. Somebody runs a little bit tight, tags that outside wall. As Eddie Jones, John Hinchcliffe, Jason Fellenbaum, a 3-car battle for 7th. Jones has made quick work of Hinchcliffe and Fellenbaum and 1 foul swoop. As your top 3, MacArthur, Thompson, and Watts have been a massive breakaway. No, Chris Walsh still in the mix as well, so it's just a top 4 breakaway. Walsh joining that party up front. As Ogle continues his charge, having now moved back up into 12th position. What's the fuel management gonna be like for these guys? This is going to be interesting. The top four all bunched up within a second of each other. Are they all focusing on fuel as well? Or are we going to see some big charges? Surely these drivers know as soon as they hop out of formation, it's going to slow things down, burn up a little bit more gas. And again, the million-dollar question is, can they make it till the end on fuel? MacArthur holding about a 4/10 advantage over Steve Thompson. Thompson 4/10 on Watts. Watts has Chris Walsh breathing down his neck here in the battle for third. That final podium spot, it looks like Walsh taking a peek to the inside line against the 84, not quite able to do anything with it. 11 laps left to go. What's the fuel looking like for these drivers? On board, Chris Walsh, cool, calm, and focused as he works his way forward. Trying to get around that 84 machine of Watts. So far, drivers have not seemed like they're coming down pit road, but the lap times have really fallen off, just about 2 seconds off their fastest laps of the race. We've only got 9 laps left to go. Ogle has still holding on to the 12th place position in that number 1 after a gutsy gamble to come down pit road on lap 117. He didn't feel like he could make it to the end, and he was hands down the fastest driver out on track, but he was also burning a little bit more fuel out front and holding it wide open around here. Eight laps left to go. I don't think Ogle can do it on raw pace if these top 4 drivers can somehow make it on fuel. Eddie Jones making a move on Brian Glass's 87 machine, moving back to the 6th place position. And Huff trying to close the half-second advantage that Brian Lindsay has, the number 24. Lindsay and Dean Gear are 2 hard chargers, both up 11 spots gained so far. Oh, there goes Ogle with a big shimmy, trying to put as much power as he possibly can, closing the gap to Huff. Huff trying to close the gap to Lindsay. It's going to be a 3-car battle for 10. Ogle driving the wheels off the number 11 machine. You can see how much shake he's getting out of it with 6 laps left to go. And every playoff point extremely crucial. Ogle taking a tiny peek the inside line of Huff. And looks like Ogle's going to make it happen here, moving back up into 11th. Oh, and then dragging the outside wall, but we got to check back in with Dwayne MacArthur, your race leader. We're 5 laps left to go. And we've got something going on. Looks like John Hinchcliffe has fallen down the standings slightly. Now showing 8. But with 5 to go, can these top 4 drivers make it on fuel? Well, your top 5 all came in on lap 73. Eddie Jones in 6th. He came in a couple laps later on lap 75, trying to splash off that number 14 machine. Four laps left to go here at Darlington. It is down to strategy and a little bit of luck. MacArthur's going to use the traffic ahead of him to save as much fuel as he possibly can here. Because if he runs out or starts to run short, there's a lot of drivers behind him that have been in the draft for the duration of this almost 77-lap run. MacArthur thought that the most amount of fuel you could stretch on a run was 75, so we're about to find out in real time how that's going to work out for him. 3 laps left to go here at Darlington. It's MacArthur, Thompson, Watts, Walsh, and McDaniel, your top 5. If we can take the white flag, there will be no green-white checker attempts here today. Oh, this is going to be a white knuckle finish just to see who comes sputtering to the line. The top 4 fairly stretch out. It's going to be very tough for any of these guys to make any big lunges at the end. Oh, and we may not have the opportunity. Around goes Fellenbaum in the 57. Is that Ogle tied up in that one? The white flag is out. All of Ogle's work is going to be undone. The number 11 machine heavily damaged. There's Pischke in the number 1. Ogle, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. And he is going to struggle to hold on to a top 10. And no, he's going to get passed by Ken Huff as we are on the final lap for MacArthur, Thompson, and Watts. Who's going to be sputtering to the line here? The checkered flag comes out. And it's going to be MacArthur, Thompson, and Watts, your top 3. Poor Tom Ogle is going to have to settle for 11th after a gutsy call on strategy. We're going to sputter to the line for the celebration photos. Waiting on Watts to slowly... Where'd Watts go? Goodbye, Michael Watts. To the top 2, Dwayne MacArthur, Steve Thompson. Let's see how much he's got left in the tank to smoke it down here at Darlington. MacArthur had a little bit more fuel than we thought he would. And Dwayne MacArthur showing just how much fuel he had left in the 83 machine. As we're going to get these drivers up here to victory lane and talk about their evening. We're waiting on Michael Watts, Steve Thompson, and Dwayne MacArthur to join us up here in victory lane for their podium speeches. Trying to get everybody up here. What a race, what a race. Always all sorts of action and big moves being made on pit strategy. We've got Dwayne MacArthur moseying his way up to the booth. And going to be interesting to see if we get Michael Watts up here. Get confirmation some drivers still getting some things sorted out. So it looks like we've got Michael Watts joining us so we can get this thing on the way. To join us first is Mike Watts, the 84 machine, up 9 spots from where you started, and all of a sudden we had a surprise fuel mileage race there at the end.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me because I was trying something in practice and I didn't think I could make 75 laps. But I guess with the pace and the fall off on the tires and everything, it just worked out that way. Um, so I didn't have enough to pass Dwayne or Steve, but man, it was the car was pretty good today.
Now, Mike, we got very close to several laps of caution late in the race, but it seemed like the caution didn't come out. Drivers crashing way down on the apron. Were you worried that we were going to have almost a stereotypical late race caution to throw a wrench in everybody's plans?
Possibly, and it's pretty scary for the first 20 laps on brand new tires because everybody's really jockeying for position, very aggressive, and then on the last or after that, after those first 20 laps, you're just kind of hanging on because the car is so loose off the corners. Um, Man, it was a battle today for sure.
Well, glad to see you come out so well, picking up another third, going into the playoffs very, very strong. Mike, before we let you sign off and celebrate, who do you want to give a shout out to that made it happen for you in that 84 Lowe's-backed Ford Mustang?
Well, I'd like to thank Patrick Milligan for his sponsorship of the league admins for putting these races on, and everybody that came out today, and my family, of course. So for letting me do this. So
Awesome. Well said as always. Congratulations, my friend, and I hope to have you back up here in the coming weeks.
yes, sir. I hope so.
That was Mike Watts. Join us in third place in the number 84 machine. Up next, we've got Steve the Mule Thompson, the 67, bringing home second. Steve, welcome up to the top three. What a wild race, but kind of typical for our shenanigans at Darlington.
Yeah, it was a good race. Everybody, a couple of cautions, but everybody drove really good. It seems like the slicker the track, the better those guys drive. So it was I commend everybody on their talents.
Now, Steve, talking to a lot of the drivers before tonight's broadcast, a few drivers were very iffy if a 75 lap run was going to be possible. Were you guys all kind of worried after that left 73 stop that you're going to be a little bit short on fuel?
I wasn't worried about it because I knew I could go 78. That's why I didn't practice. So and saving fuel right there, I was still 10 to the good, 10.3 to the good at the checker.
So more than enough. And Steve, now how tough is it to make moves at this track that's barely a single file track as it is, and especially when the tire wear starts to come in, how much tougher does that make that to make any moves late in a run?
It's tough. I kind of figured some stuff out there on those runs, but I was fortunate to stay up front. I really only had to pass. I think I just passed Dan Hill, and that was pretty much it. I was fine with second place. I didn't want to make it have any incident points or get taken out for trying to win the race. It wasn't worth it to me. Just keep progressing.
Well, awesome. A good start to the playoffs for you and that Dr. Amy back Toyota Camry. And Steve, before I let you sign off and celebrate, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make second place possible for you here this evening?
Want to thank my wife Wendy for supporting me in this effort. And of course, emetroford.com. If you're looking for a new or used vehicle, get a hold of Patrick Milligan or myself, and you can go custom order your new Ford 2023 Ford on the website emetroford.com, and we'll get it ordered for you MSRP prices. And the order bank for the Mach-E's is open right now. We got a few spots left, and the Mavericks are getting ready to open up, and the Broncos this month. So go place an order, and we'll get you taken care of. And also, I want to thank Dr. Amy for sponsoring my car. And if you're having thyroid issues, hormone issues, you want to lose some weight, you got insulin resistance, go check out Dr. Amy Horniman. She's got some really good products that definitely help grow your hair back. My hair's long now, and help with your blood sugar and hormones and stuff. So check it out, dramyhorniman.com. And thanks as always to you for broadcasting this series, and thanks to all the admins that keep this thing going. I really appreciate all their help, especially Dwayne. He does a ton of stuff for us. So
Yep,
that's it.
For a Canadian, he's all right. But Steve, congratulations on a great second tonight and a great start to the playoffs, and hope to have you back up here next week, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's my favorite track, Kansas, but we'll see. I don't seem to be able to finish a race there. So
Well, fingers crossed for you.
thank you.
That was Steve Thompson bringing home in the second place spot. But up next, the friendly and fast Canadian, Dwayne MacArthur, the 83 machine. Welcome back to the top step of the podium. Good to have you, and what a great way to kick off the opening round of playoffs.
Yeah, that couldn't go any better. Really, really excited to take that one. I wasn't confident it was going to happen, so I'm pretty happy to come out of here. Actually, just happy to come out of here with a clean car and not destroyed, and not giving up lots of points. So
Yeah, you've had a bit of a dry spell since your last win. It was way back July 10th at Atlanta, so almost a 2-month dry spell before we saw that 83 machine back in the top spot. Gotten close in a few podiums since then, but glad to see the program coming back together. What kind of led to such a great result here tonight at Darlington and a fairly dominant finish?
no special secret, just patience. Took my time. Didn't really worry about anybody else on the track. I mean, at Darlington, you just got to take it easy and take care of your stuff and just trust that it'll come to you. There was a couple of lead changes and passes with Dan and Tom and whatnot, and then it went into a fuel mileage race, out of a fuel mileage, then back in, and just kind of not worried about racing other people, just worried about getting my car home, making it on fuel, and taking it easy. So
And Dwayne, we talked about fuel mileage. You're one of those drivers that wasn't very confident of long-run fuel racing earlier today, thinking you were going to be a little bit short compared to what you're seeing from other drivers. How apprehensive were you after that lap 73 stop that you were going to be 4 to 5 laps short on fuel?
well, I was going to be more to start there. I could only get about 67, 68. And then so I changed my line on the first run to try to make it, and it looked like I was going to be a lap or two if it went green. So I made some progress, about 4 or 5 laps. So then when it happened again at the end, I just took what I was doing, backed up my entries a little bit more, tried to eliminate the brake a little bit, so that it rolled more. Just fuel saving tricks. And it was close. I mean, I only had 0.4 gallons left. I ran out of fuel during my burnout, so um, I I took it wasn't easy. I got really lucky that I pulled it off. I'm not a fuel savant. Had some. I was basically watching that yellow car behind me too. I know he's good on fuel, so if I saw him lifting, I lifted. So
Well, hey, glad things worked out very well for you, picking up a win, starting the playoffs in dominant fashion, and getting that little bit of points help you're going to need to win, hopefully, the overall season championship. So a great run, a great start. And before we let you sign off and celebrate, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this evening possible for you?
yeah. First of all, I just want to give a shout out actually to Kevin. I know he's watching. He's at home resting. He was in the hospital, so hope we entertained you, Kevin, and hope it passed some time there while you rest up and get well soon. But then outside of that, just thanks to our sponsors, Metro Ford Chicago, Patrick Milligan, emetroford.com. He keeps this league running along with Victory Lane Sports and Kimball.net. I mean, without our sponsors, this would be a much different league. Thanks to all the admins and thanks to everybody for coming out and racing the way they do. I mean, look at the way these guys race on Darlington. This place is great. So thanks to everybody, and thanks to you, James. You always do a great job, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, my friend. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll have you back up here next week. Continue that little bit of momentum you've got going for you.
Yeah, one race at a time. I'll just do what we can and see where it falls.
Awesome. Good luck out there, my friend. Thank you as always.
Thanks, buddy.
That was Dwayne MacArthur finishing in the top spot here at Darlington, accompanied by Steve Thompson and Michael Watts joining him on the podium. An excellent start to the playoffs, and we're going to see which of these 16 drivers gets whittled down 4 at a time before we decide the final season championship. As always, on behalf of emetro4.com, Victor Lane Sports, Kimball.net, as well as Dr. Amy, the thyroid fixture. My name has been James East. A pleasure calling the action here at the Metro Ford Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great day and a great holiday, everybody.